Hey again, everybody. Welcome back to another production meeting. Like always, well, like the last 2 weeks anyway, it's me and Ryan. Don't
No,
know
it's
where the
always
other
been the two of us.
Yeah, the other
Clint
two
and
have
Matt
just
never existed.
yeah, they were in that universe. Um, which go away.
All
Sorry,
right.
I minimized my yeah,
Oh,
right. Not you. I minimized my Zoom screen for a second, not trying to do it. Oh, I thought I almost X'd out. Um little tidbit about today's recording. We actually started earlier, but we were having technical difficulties, so this is actually take two. So yay, fun. But since Ryan and I didn't really do much other than the homework, which was to talk about Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and the Northman, and the one that we both didn't get to, Bad Guys, we will just go right into the news. So the first of which is about the Across the Spider-Verse delay, which was moved from this year, October, to June of 2023. There is a movie that is supposed to take over in its place this year. I don't recall the name of it. It's a weird multiple, like it's like Marshall something something. Um, but whatever it is, it's probably not nearly as anticipated as Spider-Verse. Sony did not. I looked into this. They did not say why they did this. I don't know if you were able to find anything. I don't understand why. Maybe it's just a better time of the year. I don't get it. So
yeah. I got the sense because there was apparently footage at whatever Comic Con is happening right now that they did, which is interesting that they would release this like right after pushing the release date. And this is just a guess. I kind of get the sense that it's not ready. The trailer we had is very teasery. It's like just two scenes kind of spliced together. Um, And if that's the case, like you always say with video games, take your time. I'll wait. I trust. I trust the not the studio, but the creative team working on this film. So if they think there's a reason to push this back, I'll be patient. I feel like the first one was only a couple years ago, and I can just watch that one again. It's true 9 out of 10. So
that's a good point. Although I do feel like the first one was, because that came out, I think, at the very beginning of 2019. So I mean, so you take a year out given COVID. So yeah, I guess it has only been a couple years, but it feels like, so by that time it comes out, it'll have been 4 years, technically only three. So I guess that's about the same, about the time it would, that should be a release date. So am I happy about it? No, but at the same time, I get your point. Yeah, once a bad product is out there, it's out there, and it's
yeah,
very hard to fix it. Which I will be getting a little bit ahead of myself. Well, actually, let me say one other thing related to this, and then move on to what I was going to say.
I also have another comment related to this.
Okay. Well,
But
in relation to this, we do know that the third movie, so this Across the Spider-Verse being the second title, the third one is called To the Spider-Verse Beyond or something like that. Let's see. I did have it and then I forgot where that article went, but we do have a third movie title. But Ryan, what were you going to say in related to the second
but
one?
yeah, I was gonna say, Sony, take your time with these projects. Clearly, 2 years wasn't enough for Morbius, so take as long as you want.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Morbius. Yeah, we don't even need to talk about that anymore.
See, I bashed Morbius in our older openings, so now I have to do it again in this one. So
It's like the most recent version of
Artemis Fowl.
Artemis Fowl. Thank you. Yes.
I both gave him threes, but I think Artemis Fowl is perpetually worse. I'm just gonna lower my rating for that movie real quick.
At least Jared Leto, at least you got that going for you, man. This big superhero movie is better than Artemis Fowl.
No, I have Artemis Fowl as a two. That's fitting.
Still, there you go. Small accomplishments. You take them where you can get them.
Yeah. Jared Leto, Judi Dench.
So next up, we have a new poster, which I believe is the final version, and a new, I don't know if it's the final trailer for Lightyear. Did you catch this new one?
I did not. I feel like I've seen two trailers for this already, so I just decided to stay away from it entirely.
I think that mentality is for me on this one. After this, if there are any more, no. we're coming up on just a little under 2 months till release date anyway. So I kind of would be a little surprised if there's anything other than the like 10-second little commercials on like YouTube.
That said, I'm sure I'll have to sit through this in theaters in 2 weeks.
Watch you just end up loving it, man.
No, I mean the trailer.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
but still, watch you end up loving this.
Yeah, we'll see.
I am, for one, I'm trying to hinder my expectations. Who knows what Disney and Pixar are gonna do? This is a crown jewel in Toy Story related of the Disney kingdom. So I hope that they'll approach this very cautiously and hopefully they know what they're doing. I'm excited. I like the new trailer. I thought it was really good. I don't think it gives too much away. I think it does what it sets out to do in establishing what this movie's supposed to be about. I am cautiously optimistic. Let's just say that. So I'm looking forward to it. This is kind of infamous news. Is Fast 10 or Fast X has begun production as of last week. So I know how we're all looking forward to that. And that'll be the roast video for whenever.
Top 10 worst movies of 2023.
Yeah, probably gonna call it. Jason Momoa is gonna be in it. With all of that being said, Ryan, it's probably still gonna be garbage, but they have said that I think that they're gonna try and go much more simpler that time. Like they're gonna try and get back to their roots of just literally being like car, like drag racing and whatever. I've never seen any of them other than this recent one. So
I don't think this franchise knows what simple is.
No, it doesn't.
I think sending a car to space and crashing it into a spaceport is as simple as the 5-year-old that pitched it.
Like little Jeffrey. Jeffrey, come on. What do you got this week? What do you want to do this week? So it's in production. Can't wait to roast it. It's gonna happen. Let's see. So we talked about the Spider-Verse. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through our Facebook. In relation to, I don't know how big this news is other than the fact that it's associated with the ongoing Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, but Johnny Depp has said that he will never return to Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that's kind of a mutual thing. I don't think Disney was kind of want to do that anyway. So, I mean, he can say it, but they're probably saying it. I don't know. I don't really think anybody's really getting hurt because I don't know about you, but the Pirates of the Caribbean should have really ended on the trilogy and be done.
Yep, I agree.
As confusing as At World's End was, I still thought it was good, and I think this is a fitting end. Like you don't keep milking this; it can end. And so, regardless of what Disney feels, what Johnny Depp feels, I don't think there should be any regardless. So, but yeah. Moving on, we have a title for the new Dungeons and Dragons movie called Honor Among Thieves. I know that Dungeons and Dragons is like becoming way more popular recently. Like I know people who play it. Ryan probably among them. Yes, I wasn't 100% sure on that. Oh, but yes, I do.
I had to clear out my D&D stuff from the table to do this video. I've got them all blocked up. You can see like the 3 behind me here, and I've got 3 on the other side.
There you go. That's the behind the scenes featurette right there. So yeah, we have
my Critical Role Funko's out.
Oh man, I can't wait to see that when we review. I'm gonna be so out of my element when we watch this. I'm like, it's probably gonna be like
a learner's guide? You want a learner's guide to how D&D works? Watch Vox Machina. And it's fantastic. I started it for the 3rd time this week.
I know, that's because I play mostly just games and then go to the theater and watch movies. I'm like, I really don't. I put TV shows on the back burner immensely, and I know because that's very similar to The Boys, as you've said, or not The Boys. Well, kind of The Boys.
It's more like Invincible.
Invincible. That's what I meant to say. I want to watch that one. Yeah, right. So, I guess I'll have to watch that in order to be prepared for Honor Among Thieves, which is starring Chris Pine, if nobody was a little unaware of that. There is a new Blair Witch project in the works. It's being developed. I know absolutely zero about Blair Witch other than the fact that it's one of those, what do you call it? Like found footage video. What do you call
It
them?
is the found footage movie made and then broke the mold in one movie.
Yes. So
Because I haven't seen Paranormal Activity, but aside from that, I don't think there's any good found footage movies.
you know how little in the horror genre I dive into. So I don't know anything. You would, I feel like you would have, of all four of us, two of which are only here, you would have the most knowledge of what quality can be found in that genre.
Yeah, I mean, I really love the Blair Witch Project. I think it's incredible. I think it's a great film. I won't say incredible, but it's a great movie. And when you factor in like the absolute unique marketing that went into that movie and the promotional material they had for it, and the lack of kind of typical advertising they did for it, having a bunch of unknown actors and making people go into this and completely duping audiences for the first time like this in a horror movie. And then you look at every copycat afterwards, including more movies in this its own series, to the point where even popular movies like Cloverfield got their own series driven into the ground. Found footage is a dead genre, so I'm not sure we're going back to this.
Well, it's funny you say all that. I mean, it was a absolute horror themed day when I started sharing a bunch of this news. It's all kind of, I think it was Cinema Blend. I can't remember where I was getting all of this Cine Marvel verse, whatever, Marvelous. Sorry. Where so we got information on the Blair Witch, and then we got a concept poster for Halloween Ends. Probably not going to be anything what it looks like at the end because it's
worst of 2022.
I know, gosh, yeah, that and gosh, it'll just be 2022 like on repeat. No,
I mean, if it's twice as good as Halloween Kills, it's still a 4 out of 10.
I hope that Halloween Kills is like what we all thought it was, and an absolute filler movie, and they just needed something to say for a year until this one could come out.
It's true. Our expectations couldn't be lower.
Yeah, so maybe that'll
it'll be the best movie since Halloween.
Yeah, right.
Horror movie. Best Halloween movie since Halloween. Not obviously, I'm done.
Let's see what else we got. Sticking in the horror genre, Scream 6 is in development, and is apparently got a release date of very weird date, March 31st of 2023. So
why are we rushing out Scream movies?
Because it's
like,
so Ryan,
slow and steady wins the race, and Scream has proven this.
These movies have been boiled down to how many times can I reference the other movies and literally talk about the movie that I'm in right now until it's over. And I hated the last one. I think it's probably the worst one in my opinion. I mean, it's really close to number 3, but it goes 1, 4, 2, 3, and 5. And I am not looking forward to this. My wife, who loves horrors, I will probably have to go with her to watch this. I don't know.
I'll come watch it with you, because mine's 1, 5, 4, 2, 3.
Oh, Ryan, how wrong
I
you
had
are.
a good time with this. I went in with no expectations, and I had a good time with it. But again, I mean, regardless of that, I don't know why we're getting one like less than a year and a half after the last. Like, that's not what Scream movies do. Like, this is the first Scream movie we had in 12 years. This year, why are we rushing out one in 2023? You're just being Halloween now.
The Halloween cinematic universe, or no, the Scream cinematic universe, the SCU.
Now, if we go to that movie and it's like Stab, and it's a joke, I'll love it. Maybe that's why they're gonna satirize how quickly horror films come out.
Yeah, and like maybe ooh, I hope they'll actually call it like Scream, like call it like Scream 9 or something, Scream 12 to really put like people are going to be so confused and they're going to reference that in the movie. They're going to be like, wait, they just completely skipped over these and blah blah, blah. And I'm like, this stupid franchise.
Oh, this is so funny. We should be writing Scream movies. Apparently, you and I, between your dislike of the last one and my like of the last one, I think we can come up with a clever screenplay for this.
I know you're saying I'm disliking. I mean, I'm here like we can't write anything worse. Literally, how many fourth wall breaks can you do, or how many references to the previous ones can you do? And then let's just bring back old people, old the legends of the series, and who do we want to kill off? Kind of spoiler, not spoiler to the previous one. Somebody dies. I'm not gonna say who. But yeah, I am not looking forward to that. But you probably are.
I'd be looking forward to it if it was like, oh, we're gonna have another one in 2032. That's when I'd be looking forward to it.
Oh God, they're all in like a retirement home, and like, oh my gosh.
Some clever. You can get some clever satire in there.
Oh, for sure.
I want to see it just take a full A24 turn.
Oh God, no. I that just what no.
Just a bizarre, obscure indie horror film from the Scream franchise. That would be up to date.
That's when we learned that A24 has earned the rights to do the production, or we learn that it's been in what do you call it? It's the collab that's been in the works since when did Scream come out? January. Like, all right, A24 and Scream are collabing here. No, my God, this is actually, you know what? Maybe that'll help it. Maybe it'll make it really, really weird. I don't know. We're gonna get into that later because we can finally, both Ryan and I can talk about everything everywhere in a little bit. But we're gonna move on here with, let's see. There are a couple of small things I shared. You know how much I love the Uncharted series. Apparently that video game franchise is not done. I have mixed feelings about that. I forget who it is. I think there's a creative director somewhere involved that wants to further along the series. So they're looking for talent right now. The mixed feelings is I love Uncharted, and Nathan Drake kind of makes the series. I mean, and Nolan North is an absolute gem. He is Nathan Drake, and his sarcasm and just goofiness and just his overall demeanor is what makes Nathan Drake and arguably Uncharted that much more enjoyable. So I will for sure be playing this. I just don't know. I'm treading lightly on this. So I am for it. We'll just wait and see what happens.
Uncharted Beginnings with Tom Holland as Nathan Drake.
Oh man, Ryan, I'm sorry that you had to go, but we have to, no. Did I already say no to that? Okay. Moving on. I don't know if this is a rumor. I mean, Sonic 3 has to be like one of the most like obvious kind of like in production things ever. Sonic 2 leaves on a cliffhanger of sorts, and leaves you like they know where they're going with the third one, so it's pretty much a slam dunk that it's going to happen. I don't know if a live action Tales movie is for real, but that is also being rumored. I don't want it. Well, that and a live action Knuckles series apparently coming to 2023 to Paramount Plus is also a thing. I think I've heard that, and I think that's true, and I actually agree with that a little bit more. The Tales movie, I'm like you. We don't need it. I don't think it's going to be nearly as popular. It's a side
I could see this being a let's say in the next couple months there's a big carcass that all these other streaming services can pick over. I could see them greenlighting a Tales movie as a straight to Paramount movie, straight to streaming.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I don't. Yeah, if they don't make it huge, and probably it would only be dwindled down to like an hour maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I if you put all that into it, yeah, sure. I think it'll be good. This next bit of news, I mean, it's kind of news, but not news. I just thought it was interesting. The Stranger Things season 4. Apparently, the cost per episode is 30 million flat. Which at first I was like, man, that's a lot of money. Then I also thought, wait a second, we already know that Rings of Power is like pretty much doubling that. So I was kind of like, we kind of been here already, man. But I'm like, cool, $30 million. I've never seen Stranger Things. I don't know if it merits that. Probably. It's pretty popular. So yeah, $30 million. Yeah.
I mean, that's where all their money's going.
Yeah. So
but no, let's cut our animation department. It's fine.
Well, now is season 4 supposed to be like it?
Yeah.
Okay, then that makes a lot of sense. They want to go out on a bang, probably. So I probably need to get into this show.
It's pretty good.
Let's see. Not that this is movie or film related. I just thought it was interesting to share yesterday. Elon Musk has officially bought Twitter. I mean, he's like a real life Tony Stark. He probably could have just bought an Iron Man suit for $44 billion, but he decided to buy Twitter instead. So, yay. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there. Next up, Sony has officially announced that Ghostbusters 5, no title yet, is in development, similar to Sonic 3. It was kind of
no surprise.
Yeah, no surprise at all. The Afterlife film kind of didn't leave on a cliffhanger, I would say, but it left it very open to, yeah, you're gonna, there's another one coming for sure. So I'm happy about this. I thought Afterlife was an absolute gem in my top 3 of for 2021. So I'm very much looking forward to it. And I think that has us all caught up. Unless Ryan, you wanted to talk a little bit about that certain carcass.
Oh yeah. So Netflix is let's raise prices, and then everyone shares passwords, and then like, we're gonna crack down on password sharing, and then their stock drops 20%, and they're like, we're gonna cut our animation department, and I'm like, your animation department's literally carrying your critical consensus. Yeah, long story short, I unless there's some serious changes, I feel like we're gonna see the death of Netflix in like the next year and a half.
Yeah, it's a very, very hard representation of don't bite the hand that feeds you kind of deal. And yeah, if you do all that and you know, pardon my French, piss everybody off, things are going to happen, man. And I mean, it is the oldest streaming service that we have out there. I mean, it's like the grandfather. So unless they do drastic changes and like basically make up for what they've done, yeah, I think you're right. We could be seeing the death of Netflix. So.
I mean, I know when they hiked up the prices in January, we canceled ours. And I'm like, Netflix doesn't have much more to offer as far as actual quality content, let alone content in general, that's worth more than anything else. I just was like, okay, well, just watch HBO Max and Amazon Prime stuff because it's got some really good stuff right now. And Netflix doesn't have that content to offer. I'm not going to hold on to it for 6 months just for Stranger Things. We'll get it back in a month, but
yeah. Yeah, when you do these things, don't be shocked that your stock goes down like way high. Yeah.
So I'm hoping there's some big changes, and I'm also really hoping that like because they said in the last like couple of weeks they said that one of the cuts they were going to make is to their animation department. I'm like, isn't Arcane like the 12th highest rated show of all time? Didn't they just like finish up season 1 of Cuphead, and then they just greenlit an Exploding Kittens series? And I'm like, you can't do this stuff and then say you're going to gut the department that's carrying you.
Yeah, because not only are you getting, service members, aka just fans, disgruntled, you're also getting your production companies or your production teams that much more frustrated. Like, okay, I'm going to work on this so I have a paycheck basically for the upcoming year, but then where do I go? Like, people are just kind of falling off on stuff, and I'm just like, Yeah, you're kind of stepping in it. So hopefully some drastic changes happen in for the better to kind of
Mhm.
counteract all this. But yeah, we could be seeing Netflix dwindle down to nothing. So, but that's it for the news. So like I said at the beginning of the video, we reviewed 2 out of the 3 titles that came out on Friday. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, The Northman, and the one that we didn't get to was Bad Guys. So, Ryan, do you have a preference for which you would like to do first?
Let's definitely start with Unbearable Weight.
I agree. I very much agree.
So yeah. Do you
Um,
want to talk a little bit about Everything Everywhere first?
oh yeah. Let
Yeah,
me do
because
that
I got
first.
to talk about this last week, I think.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
actually I think it was 2 weeks ago.
fair enough. I saw
Because
it forever ago. And still number 6 at the box office for a little A24 film. It is carrying strong.
yes. Yeah, I do remember it was 2 weeks because I tried to get to it last week and just didn't have the
Yeah.
time. This week, I was like, I'm for sure seeing it. So I did watch it yesterday. The A24 film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm not gonna shy away from my thoughts about this. This, Ryan, has you were absolutely right. This is one of the strangest movies I have ever seen. It probably is the strangest movie I've ever seen. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost thought about walking out of the film, and I got to see it for free. I was texting you in the middle of it, and I was like, "This is so strange that I think it was just the weird for the sake of being weird." But with that being said, I almost feel like I have to watch this again, even though I hated it,
Wait, yeah, I
because
was going to say, and I quote, I kind of hate this.
I kind of hate this. Now, I think because it's one of those that, like, now that I have the information that I'm supposed to have, maybe when I go back and watch it and like now I have this information of how things work in this universe, this multiverse, maybe I can appreciate more the lead up to all the weirdness. And I've just it was so out there and so like bizarre, like and so fast. There was that one point where she like literally is like all of her cells kind of like all at once, like and the screen is like flashing this one, and it's like I was like, okay, I know that this triggers epilepsy 100% because I was like, whoa, I was out there for a second. I I sat there and I was like, I don't even know if I can give this a rating. I don't even think it's fair to give it a rating because uh not to jump into the unbearable weight discussion too early, but I think this movie sets out what it wants to be. I think that the graphics department and the effects department deserve a billion% wholeheartedly. This movie like had such crazy special effects and they blended in so well and the cinematography actually was superb. The angles they shot and how simple it was and they kept it a pretty like what concept like it gets you get bogged down on the details like it's hard to keep track of everything, no pun intended. That as much as there is going on and you're still for the most part able to kind of collect everything that's going on and understand where you're going, I think that's a pretty good accomplishment. So maybe my rating will actually get a little bit higher. I didn't know if I should do an NA or I would have like at the worst set of 5, even though I really, really hated it. But I I honestly I can't judge it too harshly because it is what it's set out to be. So and I mean it kind of dwindled down. I was saying this before recording that it's basically like turning red at the very core of it because it's a daughter trying to get her mother's approval kind of deal and trying to deal with the expectations of being perfect. So I think that theme is very well established. For now, I'm gonna say 5, but it has room to grow. But it proves that A24 and me are just like we clash, man. We clash a little bit. So, but here I kept thinking, this is the exact opposite of Green Knight. I was like, Green Knight, nothing happens. But I still enjoyed that movie. This movie, literally everything happens, and I still don't know how I feel. I'm just like, but I feel like I should watch it again, even though I had such a distaste for it. Because have you ever had that moment, Ryan, where where you hated a movie, but then you're like, I need to give this another chance?
It's what happens, and it's a weird effect, and I think it's what happens when you watch a movie and part of you is like, wow, I know this is good, and then your brain's like, yeah, but I don't like it. Why don't I like it? And you almost want to watch it again to see if you're right or you're right, and you're like at conflict with yourself about, like, every time I see a Paul Thomas Anderson film, I'm like, I don't like this. Why does everyone else like this? Maybe I do like this. No, I don't like this. Should I watch it again to see if I like this? And I end up watching a lot of them. No, I don't watch them twice. I was thinking about some of his films, and I'm like, I don't give a second thought. But it's like you have that every once in a while. I think I had that with Swiss Army Man the first time, which is by Daniels, the same director who did Everything Everywhere. And I was like, oh, I do not like this. And then afterwards, I was like, but I want to watch it again to see if I like it. And I watched it again, and I like it, and I bought it.
So yeah, maybe are you gonna purchase Everything Everywhere?
I will not pay retail for it.
Okay.
But if I found it at a reasonable price, I would absolutely buy this and watch it again, because I think it's so weird and unique. And you were talking about the quality of this movie. It's so well made for what I think it was. I can't remember if it was a $10 or $25 million budget. It's not a big budget. And for its little budget, like, gosh, the movie's pretty impressive. And so really? I think I would watch it again for the entertainment value alone. Even though I think it's almost to the point where it's like, I think it's too weird for those themes to really take hold at the end. But yeah, I'd totally watch this again.
Okay, because I'll have to mooch you off of your voodoo to.
We'll buy a Blu-ray DVD together.
Okay, yeah, we'll go and we'll split it. Okay, so yeah, because I feel even like I said, even though I kind of hated it, I feel compelled to watch it again at some point now with the knowledge that I have.
Now, Alice, we've talked about A24. We've talked about weird movies. We've talked about The Green Knight. I feel like we have to switch up the order of what we're going to talk about next.
Yes.
That is a perfect segue into The Northman.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and if you want to go first, since I've been talking for a while, please.
I will take on this one because I saw this film twice this weekend. Once on Thursday night, once on Saturday night. 100%, no excuse, no good excuse why I didn't see the bad guys. I was like, let's see Northman again. I went and saw it again. So The Northman is from director Robert Eggers, who is the director of The Witch from 2016 and The Lighthouse. No, 15 and The Lighthouse from 2017 or 18.
I'm so glad you said that because I've not seen The Lighthouse, but I've seen a scene from it. And I was like, this feels exactly like it. And now it makes total sense. Sorry, go on.
No, you're good. I mean, it's usually pairs with A24. This film is not A24. If you specifically have not seen The Lighthouse and The Witch, they're both very good. I think The Witch is superb. Highly recommend that one. Mm-hmm. But recently established himself as a director who is an ear for kind of a weird horror vibe for like historical authenticity. So anyway, Northman is set in Viking times, the 1200s. It follows Amleth, a Viking who is out for revenge on the man who killed his father, who was a king. And without giving too much away, it's kind of a historical epic set in that time, following a small cast of characters. If you've seen the trailer, you get a little bit more than that, but the trailer definitely keeps it vague. I think we get most of the trailer moments in like the first half of the movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to talk too much about the plot there. Film stars Alexander Skarsgård as Amleth. Also has Anya Taylor-Joy, who was in The Witch with Robert Eggers. In fact, there's a couple Eggers regulars in this. Willem Dafoe from The Lighthouse is also in this. Both of those films were, I mean, The Witch was like Anya Taylor-Joy's big film, and The Lighthouse was a nice resurgence for Dafoe. Regardless, the film was also written by Sion, who wrote last year's Lamb. So you got a weird pair here working together for a nice big budget epic theatrical release. Had some tough competition at the box office, so I think next week we'll see really how this does. Critics love the film. I feel like I'm just going through my actual review process now of like talking. Anyway, regardless, film's freaking fantastic. I had pretty high expectations going into it. I loved The Witch. I really liked The Lighthouse. I can't think of a reason not to see this movie. There wasn't much I didn't like.
With that being said, obviously, like it's rated R for a reason. It's got heavy themes and there are suggestive elements and themes to it.
If you're really looking forward to the new Downton Abbey, The Northman's probably not for you.
Yeah, you definitely have to be of a certain age. I mean, it is rated R for a reason. Like, assuming you meet all that criteria and I 100% agree. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's like, as far as like the content goes, like we've seen way worse in more movies that are more mainstream than this that are still R. Mm-hmm. But this film has a really heavy tone to it. So everything feels gritty and grim. And this is not your typical, like, really fun, exciting, rootable epic. You know, if you think epic, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is a throwback to like 40s, 60s, 90s, and even early 2000s historical epics. You know, this has some Gladiator in it. This has, not that this is an epic, it's got some Lion King in it. And I mean, apparently this was based on the stories that inspired Hamlet in the first place. So there's that kind of full circle. But in a lot of senses, though, this is an epic. It's just a very different tone for an epic than you're expecting. The protagonist isn't necessarily somebody that you really empathize with. Not saying he's dislikable. Alexander Skarsgård's performance is fantastic, and the character's very interesting and very likable. He's not going to be your Ben-Hur of characters. Mm-hmm. Not to say anything negative about the movie. The only real complaint I had about the movie is I felt like, despite a great performance, Anya Taylor-Joy's character was probably a little underwhelming. And I don't think that's a flaw in the movie. Actually, that's something in the marketing where I expected a little bit more from her character. She contributes here and there for sure. She's an interesting character for the plot. And the first time I was a little underwhelmed with the film's antagonist. Second time, that problem went away. There's so much nuance in this movie that it takes 2 viewings to really get through. And I don't even want to talk about the little details that I picked up the second time. I'll just go see it. This film, from the first second, this film kicks off running and just immerses you in this world. And that was probably my favorite thing about the movie, is the world in which it's set and the way that film captures the world. You have consistently stark uses of lighting and contrast. You've got incredible production design and costume design, but in a minimalistic sense. Everything is so detailed. The score is freaking fantastic. I thought it was probably one of the best scores from a period piece like this that I've ever heard. I am gonna pre-order it on vinyl pretty soon because it's not getting a CD release. I don't even know the composers from anything. I looked them up and I was like, oh, they've done some stuff I've never seen. Great work from them. And Eggers has this really interesting way with his direction and it's a little lighter than The Witch and The Lighthouse. So if you watch those films and you don't like them, you probably shouldn't. You should probably still give this one a chance, because it's a little lighter than those. As far as this one particular thing, though, he does this really unique, authentic Norse dialect throughout the whole film. This one's a lot more tangible, but there is that where there's nothing really to take you out of the history of it. There's a lot of heavy lore. It's really weird. It's really trippy. It borders that line between playing with Norse mythology as mythology or as fantasy or as straight up religion. And I loved that approach to it. It's so complicated and intricate and really trippy, but it feels like low fantasy in a historical epic, which we have not seen the likes of really at all recently. And Green Knight is also low fantasy, and you see that, but it's not really an epic. This is kind of everything the Green Knight was, and also everything the Green Knight wasn't, as far as having a story goes. I should probably let you have a turn talking about this movie. Cinematography, long takes, action sequences, 9 out of 10.
Yes. We both. So I've only watched this the once, but I'm gonna gush over it pretty much the same way. I was texting you, or I texted you right after the movie, and I said my thought process throughout the film. I was like, this is an 8, this is an 8, this is an 8, this is an 8, and then the final act happens, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just so good. This is a 9. This is a 9. I thought this movie was fantastic. It's very weird, and like you said, the tones are very heavy. It's dark, and but it's shot so well. A score is composed really, really well when I notice it. And I noticed it, and I was like, I feel immersed in this. It's got the Nordic like drumming slash just I'm not a composer. I don't know these words, but it hits so well. And like the fact that I noticed it just carries it even more. Alexander Skarsgård, I just felt the intensity that he was bringing. I mean, there's like a primal thing that's happening, and I think it goes well with the setting, and like he and the supporting cast of other guys who were like supposed to transform yourselves into wolves, like you are no longer men, you're wolf. And I just was like feeling the intensity. I'm just like, gives you goosebumps.
That film, that was one thing I was gonna say too. That film tackles things that you'd watch in a worse movie and say, this is silly, and it just does not feel silly.
There is a silly moment early on. I'm gonna kind of gloss over it, but like it's very ritualistic, and I could understand completely how the witch and the lighthouse, which has been on my to watch list forever, and I haven't just done it yet. Like how this ritualistic like works its way in, and it's very, very strange, and it's obviously not modern at all. So you can look at this and be like, man, that's just really weird. I'm so out of this. But they handle it so well and blend it in because of how well they've established the setting. And the story is just so good. And I quote you constantly on this: a movie's only as good as its main villain. I'm going to kind of put a slight twist on that. And I think it's really, really good when films kind of gray that area between, do I feel sympathy for the antagonist? And then with an extra kind of twist of, without giving anything away, who is the actual antagonist? So, and so at some point you feel, sorry, my camera is being a little weird today. Hold on. Anyway, sorry guys, had to switch to my other camera. What was I saying, Ryan? What was the last thing I was saying?
The shades of gray.
Oh, yes.
And the villains.
Yeah. Because like you said, I mean, immediately I was like, I thought, oh man, this is like Lion King. But then immediately after that thought, I was like, oh wait, I've been told that this is Hamlet-esque, so I know where this is kind of going. But then the movie does a really, really good job of being kind of unpredictable. And you almost feel sympathy for his uncle, was it Fjolnir? And I think that's great because it mixes the conflict, it makes your characters complex, and it makes every scene that much more impactful because you don't know whether or not you want this to happen or not, so you're invested in all of it. I will agree. Anya Taylor-Joy, I'll semi agree. I think she was a little underwhelming, but her character is still pretty impactful, especially towards the end. The advertisements make her seem to be a little bit more involved than she actually is, but still a good performance altogether. I didn't dislike any performance of this. I thought everybody was really, really good. When I sat through this, I was like, now I know Macbeth is not near as much action. It's way, way more drama filled. But I kept thinking this is kind of what I wanted Macbeth to be when I was watching it back earlier this year with the Denzel version. But I understand that it's not that, and it's not supposed to be that. I think a better comparison, and you've talked about it, is Green Knight, where this is kind of what I wanted Green Knight to be. I wanted Green Knight. I thought Green Knight was going to be a little bit more action, but it was more of a poetic journey because it's literally based on a poem.
Yeah.
This, gosh, I kind of wish I watched it a second time because I just felt the intensity and the tones, which were weird at some points, but I was just like, once it gets past like the first act or first, I'd say half hour of the movie, it really sets up like, okay, we know where we're going here, and it's very, very clear cut, but it's so interesting and it's shot so well. It's shot just incredibly well.
I didn't even notice the second time that there's like the one long take early on, but I didn't even notice the second time that like most of the action scenes are long takes.
Yes. Yeah. And I think this is a less is more kind of deal, because when on the settings, in their sceneries, they're shot so well and it feels so full, but they didn't actually do a whole lot. And I'm like, oh, this movie's just fantastic. I absolutely can't wait to own this. I also give it a 9 out of 10. I think I said that earlier. I kept thinking, all right, this is very solid. This is 8, this 8. And I just loved how the ending went. And Skarsgård, fantastic. And I'm not one to ever be like, I love Alexander Skarsgård and everything he does because he's so great. Because I saw Tarzan, and I forget your opinion of that. It was okay.
It's all right. This is a career best for him. It's not that his performances are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Just this is such a step up. Tarzan didn't give anybody in the movie a lot to work with, not including him. He probably had the most to do, and he wasn't the most underwhelming performance. But I mean, in a movie with like big stars, nobody really does anything. So, this one, yeah.
Willem Dafoe. I recall you saying, or you were talking about him, and I was like, yeah, he has some to do, especially early on, but isn't really anywhere to be found because he's involved in the young Skarsgård. Yeah. I can't remember the character's name, but he's involved early on in his life, and then therefore isn't there as he's older. But still, man, this shot so well. The cast is good. Everybody knocks it out of the park. This is easily my number one film for the year. Sonic was just a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, well, I didn't expect that to just kind of come out and blow it out of the water. But yeah, if you call yourself a film fan, especially on period pieces, if you don't mind some weirdness, and it's definitely a little gory at moments, whoever's watching, whoever's listening, definitely should see it. It deserves a lot better attention than it's actually getting. Yeah, fantastic film. I cannot wait to own this. Yeah, just incredible. But Ryan, do you have anything else on that?
Oh, I'm sure, but I should stop.
I know that'll be the director's cut.
You'll see this film again on our end of the year lists.
For sure.
This is one of my 2 favorites of the year. I don't really rank them until the end of the year, but off the top of my head, it's hard to compare this and Belle, which is my other one. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, they're not at all alike. So I'll have to watch Belle again and see. But yeah, I mean,
such different realms.
Yeah, they are. Different realms, different tones, different genres. Like, yeah, one's essentially like not even it's a musical-esque. Like, it's not even remotely the same. But I'm just impressed that just so blown away. I've been listening to freaking Forbidden West all year so far because it's like a 6-disc soundtrack, and I finally stopped because of the Northman.
Well, I actually have just thought of the one connection that they could probably have is that they're both based on literary pieces from forever ago. There you go.
Very true. Very true. Yep.
So, but with that, we are going to move on to Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, aka the Nick Cage movie. Need I say more? It's Nick Cage.
Yeah. Playing Nick Cage.
Yeah, but literally. I think I'll go first on this one. Yeah, so this movie is interesting. So Nick Cage is himself, and he is invited by a super fan to a manor out in Spain, and some craziness happens where Nick is himself and he's involved in things that are similar to his previous movies past, and stuff ensues. This movie is, I'm gonna forget it in about a week. I told you this. I was like, this movie's kind of dumb, but I think it sets out and accomplishes everything that it tries to be. Because this is a weird movie that pokes fun. Nick Cage is poking fun at himself the entire way through. They reference about half a dozen of his films at least, and like I think I forget one where he's like it's got Shirley MacLaine in it, that they reference, he and Shirley MacLaine back in like 90, 95, 94. I forget what it's called. Ryan, while I am trying to stall, you look that up. But they talk about that movie and how like it's one of the greatest films of all time. And I'm like, there's no way, given the premise of that movie, that it's anywhere near the greatest movie of all time.
Oh, is it Captain Corelli?
No, I don't think so.
Good, because it's not one of the greatest movies ever done. Guarding Tess. Guarding Tess.
That was
I hadn't seen this one.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah.
But they reference it, and they reference like Face Off, Con Air, The Croods, and so on and so on. And so I can't judge this movie too harshly, but I can't give it praise that it doesn't deserve. Because no, it's a Nick Cage movie. It's like a filler movie when you know things are not. It's kind of a weird week that released. That probably should have released this week.
I agree.
Because Northman, in our opinions, as we've well established, should have blown it out of the water. Don't think that's happened. And he should have just had a week to his own, or slightly with Liam Neeson. And that would have been a filler week. Like, oh man, I need a movie to kind of go see while I have nothing to do until Doctor Strange comes out.
Yeah, in a weekend where an animated film was opening, and a family-friendly PG film was carrying over from last week or 2 weeks ago, crushing Fantastic Beasts that nobody was interested in seeing. Two very specific R-rated movies should not have opened against each other.
Yeah, so just a week off. I don't think I think they knew they weren't going to make a huge amount of money in this. So what is 1 week before Doctor Strange going to do to you? You know, so I'm going to say a 5 out of 10. I am very, very firm in that. It does not deserve a fresh, but because I know what it's trying to be, I can't judge it that harshly. You know, if like I'm trying to be a tree and I end up being a tree, are you saying that I'm unsuccessful?
I wanted a birch tree, darn it. Why are you a pine tree?
We're not getting into the kind of trees. I'm just generally tree. And you can't fault me for becoming a tree because that's what I set out to be. So there you go. 5 out of 10. Nick Cage. If you have nothing better to do this weekend, check it out, sort of. Ryan, go ahead.
I am going to mostly agree with you. That last week, I gave the 5 and you gave the 6. This week, I'll give the 6. I enjoyed this movie. Now, I don't disagree when you say that I'll probably forget about this in a week. And I say that knowing that I'm also about to say I do recommend going to see this for the sake of this is a really unique, strange, not a very big budget film that's not based on an IP. And I think it's worth watching regardless. Like, I think it's an all right time. And if you're going to watch this movie, I would not wait till Redbox. I would support it now so we get more movies like this. That said, it's all right. And I have a feeling that a lot of people might enjoy it more than me. I had actually thought you would have enjoyed it more than me. Alex. So I'm interested. And the differences we have in it are actually pretty interesting. I think this movie is pretty fun for the most part. I think the first 2/3 of the movie are really strong.
Mhm.
Nick Cage is great. I mean, it's a legacy performance,
Yes.
and it's so nice to see a movie that. I'll talk a little bit about the themes. I'm not going to try to give too much away because they're highlighted even in the first trailer, which is very teasery. Themes in this movie, he's playing Nick Cage, who is like Diet Nicolas Cage, who's played all the movies Nicolas Cage is in. So it's this like alternate dimension Nick Cage, essentially, where Neil Patrick Harris isn't playing Neil Patrick Harris, which I think would have been really funny. But regardless, I liked a lot of the themes in this movie early on. It's really dives into kind of actors, and it's this struggle between people are thinking that he's going through this tough time where he's lost some of his talent, and he's really just trying to work and trying to get this next big break. And it's such a tribute to the way actors like Nick Cage work, where we can get on them because they do so much crap every year, but it's not like they don't commit 100%. It's not like it's their fault. These are films that they signed on to do because there's a paycheck involved.
I really wish that I think what would have made this movie better, I wish they had this a lot more, is they had like him talking to himself, his like younger self from I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that supposed to be from another movie?
It's Nicky, and it's based on like an interview he did back in like the 90s or something like that. But it's like the persona of late 80s, early 90s Nick Cage, like his persona.
I really wish that they would have done more, interactions between him and himself like that, because
Yeah,
I found those hilarious.
I agree, and it's interesting because this film has unique ideas that I don't think that they're not prevalent enough. And that's where the finale kind of nosedives for me, is because there's like, oh, this could be more. This could just be more. It kind of isn't as funny or fun or exciting as it should be for where they're going. And we talked a little bit about this, and I don't want to go into spoilers because again, I do recommend it. I think it's a fun time. If you're interested in seeing it, you're gonna have as much time in the theater as you would if you Redbox it. So I recommend just seeing it in theaters because you'll support more movies like this existing. But I still can't help that there's some moments where it's just like, this could be more. This wants to be more. It could be more. And wish it were a little more obvious about what it was trying to be. And these themes are really great. I really like this deep dive into actors and celebrities, and having actual Nicolas Cage superfan Pedro Pascal playing the superfan in the movie. He steals every scene they're in. I thought he was the funniest thing about this movie. There's a scene where like the entire joke just hinges on him making a facial expression and a sound, and I just busted up laughing. Like, I definitely got my laughs worth in this movie. In fact, we were talking about buying movies. If I found this for a couple bucks, I'd probably own this just for the sake of it. I'll put it with the Nicolas Cage collection. It's not like I'd watch it over and over again. I'm still disappointed with the ending, but there's enough enjoyment, I think, in the first 2/3 to really carry this for me. You got a lot of references. The score is surprisingly good. For what it's trying to be. You've got a lot of like really grand moments that you see Ennio Morricone composed in the 60s and Quentin Tarantino uses now, where it's like, we're going to do the grand slow motion dramatic moments, and those do really well. I keep hearing this is a great buddy comedy. That's true for the first 2/3 for me. Or that's where I think the finale kind of still drops the ball. For me, I just wanted a little more from this. I feel like if you're going to have Nicky, it's a mild spoiler, but so if you're going to go see it and then come back to this, I guess. But like, Nicky's in 3 scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do more.
Yeah.
It's Nicolas Cage talking with Nicolas Cage. Do more. And apparently Cage was like hesitant to come on this project in the first place. He wasn't top choice. And so he ended up coming on and producing the film. So maybe there was more, and that was a conscious decision, because I really appreciate the way this film plays with satire versus just making fun, because it feels very satirical, but it never feels like it's just making fun of Nicolas Cage, which I actually really appreciate. I don't really want to go into a movie and see an actor just make fun of themselves. It's funny, but it's not the point of it. Every time I see a Ryan Reynolds movie or a superhero movie and they're like, oh, yep, Green Lantern jokes.
Yeah.
Heard those a dozen times. It's really old. And so this is like paying homage to even films that we haven't seen or that are bad movies. And I really appreciate the legacy of how that does it. Again, I just wanted more. But I had a good time. I'll say it's a solid 6. I there's some really good laughs in this movie. It's for me, it just the first half of this movie carries the second half of this movie. We had a couple comparisons to another movie before we started this video. I don't want to say that because I don't want to give away how this movie goes. I just wish it were more apparent what this movie was trying to be later on. And I think that would have carried it for me. Is just some more comedy. Essentially, you're an R-rated comedy, and the second half neither feels R-rated nor like a comedy.
Yeah, it feels kind of like cheesy action.
It does. It turns into
budget, yeah.
a cheesy action movie, and I thought there was going to be intent behind it, and then I was waiting, and then I was waiting, and then I was waiting, and then we got a little bit of intent, and the movie was over, and I was like, it's but I've heard other people say it takes a little bit too long to get to that point, and I'm like, yeah, I think this could just be an all around. I feel like it could be just a little smoother all around. So yeah, I mean, 6 out of 10 for me. I saw that. I saw Northman. I was only thinking about Northman. I saw Northman again, but it's not like I regret seeing this movie. Again, I really love that it's out and it exists.
I'll agree with that. I don't think I regret seeing this, but I'm a little hesitant to be like, hey, yeah, go see it. I mean, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, support it so then we get more like it. Sure.
Maybe here's the difference. If you're looking at it and you're say, that looks all right, maybe I'll rent it on Redbox. Ask yourself one thing. Do you constantly complain about not enough unique films? If the answer is yes, go see it. If the answer is no, watch it on Redbox.
That's
if you're fine with if you saw The Northman, you already supported a film that doesn't have a right to exist because of how many superhero movies are out there. That's fine. If you're not going to see Northman, go see Nick Cage. Like, see one of them. Honestly, Bad Guys apparently is also not. It's not based on an IP. It has a book series or kids book series. But like, go see something this weekend. Don't go see Fantastic Beasts.
I very much agree with that. It's all very valid. Yeah. I we've both well established that, like, yeah, if you're gonna have those outrageous moments in this comedy, like, do more. Like, just go for broke. And I really like those scenes where he's talking to himself as Nikki, and I'm like, it gets really weird for a second, but overall, like, I love that interaction. Like, I really wish that was spliced throughout this movie.
Yeah.
Unbearable Weight kind of went like, okay, the first part of it's good, and then there was kind of a dip, and then it got better, and then it dipped again, and then the end, and I'm like, okay. So I mean, there was a extended like amount of joy from the first part, then a lull, then I'd say about 20 minutes of goodness again, then like I said, the finale kind of took its place, and then it just kind of was over. So
yeah, I think one thing that might have helped going into it, and this is anybody who has not seen the second trailer, if you haven't seen the second trailer, you'll probably get a lot more enjoyment from the heck is going on story. I get the need to promote what the actual story is. The first trailer was super vague, which is why we kept it super vague. I wish I had gone into it with that super vague expectation instead of knowing pretty much beat for beat what was going to happen.
Yeah. I'm on the fence. I don't know if it would have been a little bit better had you not known anything about this film.
I would have been less disappointed in one specific reveal in the third act, which I won't talk about.
Yes. So
catch one of my best and worst films of the year.
This is like middle of the road for me. Like, it's not nearly like terrible. Like, you're not gonna have like a absolutely terrible time. I do agree how, like, if Neil Patrick Harris was like Neil Patrick Harris and like Tiffany Haddish was herself playing a CIA agent being absolutely ridiculous, that might have lent to like how ridiculous and therefore funny this is. So
I thought when the first trailer came out that Neil Patrick Harris was playing himself and he was Nick Cage's agent, and I thought they were going to make a joke about the fact that an actor shouldn't be someone's agent, and that's why Nick Cage has so many bad movies, because Neil Patrick Harris is his agent. And then it's just like, oh, he's just playing his agent. Okay,
yeah, he's just playing.
I mean, there's some funny jokes about how bad, I guess, how awful agents are, but yeah.
So, but yeah, Unbearable Weight. Support your local theater and just support this kind of overall genre and go see it. I give it a 5. Ryan gives it a 6, and yeah, so that is what we reviewed this week. So the moral of the story is definitely go watch Northman. If you can handle some violence and some heavy themes. And if you just love movies. And then Nick Cage. Yeah.
Not interested in the violence and heavy themes?
Yeah, if you want more lighthearted, kind of just goofiness, go see that. And then if you have kids, probably go see Bad Guys because it's probably okay because but we don't know. So
but we will next week, right?
Oh yeah, probably.
Because nothing's opening.
Yeah, that leads me to, because we usually end these by talking about what we'll do the next week. The only big release for next week, and I say big, is what is it? Memory with Liam Neeson. It's another Liam Neeson flick. What can I tell you? You know, he's some guy. Action's gonna happen.
I'm not even sure we're getting it. We're getting Hatchling, which is I think Swedish, which I've already got tickets for. So I'll talk about that next week.
Okay.
But I don't even know if we're getting Memory.
So we'll kind of leave it open-ended. We'll go ahead and say, like, I know for sure that
we are.
Okay, so let's Memory. Do you
yeah.
Are you
Memory? I'm gonna try to catch Bad Guys before then.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll say definitely Memory. I will absolutely have Hatchling because, like I said, very excited. I never get to see foreign films in theaters. So and it's like an hour and 25 minutes or something like that. Why not?
Oh yeah, that's a breeze.
Yeah.
So okay, we'll do Memory. I'll try to catch up on Bad Guys too, and then you will do Hatchling, and that'll be what we do for next week. I don't think any. Gosh, because I haven't even watched any of Moon Knight yet. I don't know.
I'm behind.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna watch 2 tomorrow.
Okay.
We could do a Moon Knight special. Well, we'll see. I was gonna say like after Wednesday because I don't think we'll want to do Moon. We could just do Moon Knight and Doctor Strange in the same review and have a Marvel review.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Would Wednesday be its finale?
Next Wednesday's its finale.
Correct. Oh yeah,
right before Doctor Strange.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, next week Wednesday. Okay, so maybe I'll try to binge that too because, like I said, I haven't watched any of it. Not because I have like any oppositions, I just haven't. So, yeah. But yeah, so we'll have a slew of things, mostly kind of minor, probably, to review next week. So Memory, Bad Guys, Hatchling, potentially some Moon Knight, and maybe we'll have some more people on next week, but maybe not. Who knows? But anyway, Ryan, do you have anything else for today?
Nope.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening / watching. We are on Apple. We are on Spotify, Amazon Music, everything, pretty much everywhere you can get your podcasts. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you on the next video / podcast. Peace.